Everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Girls, Hello Kitty, season 5, episode 7. Good episode. Did you, first of all, because I wasn't here last week, I was a big fan of the Marnie episode.
It was so good.
I loved it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good. So just to be clear, so Charlie is using heroin, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and so she was like, that's why she cleared out. That guy lost a lot of money. Yeah, that guy things went wrong for. So I like this a lot. And I love that their willingness to, again, like we discussed on Billions, not have TV moments at all. Like Jessa, clearly they've reached a point where they each know what's going on, although Hannah does not know the extent, right? She doesn't know, like, in love, right? Which presumably they are. But that look back, Jessa's look back and kind of sideways walking, and there's even a half pirouette, like, I'm going to go around, no, I'm not. That was just really human.
And I think that you could really have clobbered us with that metaphor of what do people see or what do they know and not respond to, which is the whole Kitty Genovese thing, which is what all these characters are going through one level or other, But they let you meet it in the middle. They didn't.
And we don't know, right, what anybody else knows of this because we haven't seen Adam and Jessa with anyone else, or
but I don't mean just them. I mean,
Right.
the stuff that's happening between Hannah and
Fran,
and everybody has a thing that they know about and aren't talking about, or that they choose not to deal with.
So my question is vagina flash.
Oh, I love that you're about to bring that up because this episode was good in that I had so many different emotions toward Hannah. Yes. The vagina flash, where she's trying to get out of trouble with an administrator at the school she's working at, really annoyed me because
super annoyed me.
Yeah,
right?
It annoyed me too.
Yeah,
good.
And like her sense of entitlement.
But it happened early enough that I then sort of forgot about it.
Go ahead. I want to hear
what comedy in a way, which I kind of enjoy. I like when they go really humorous and over the top sometimes. But then I'm also like analyzing what it says about women and what it says about her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
It's interesting because Hannah in real life and also as her character seems to be a bit of a feminist, right?
Yeah.
And so there are two schools of thought when it comes to feminism. One school of thought is, well, if you have sex appeal, why not use it to your advantage? And then there's the other school of thought that, doesn't want women to be defined by their sexuality.
But see, here's the thing. Even though sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Even though these are her genitals, I don't think there was anything sexy about that. I thought because she does this conversationally a lot, which is to, if I can flummox you enough, you'll be sputtering and I can walk out of the room.
Right.
And that was sort of like, okay, she was trying to do it conversationally, it wasn't working, so like that was her ace in the hole, if you will. And and it was only there to like disturb and flummox that guy.
You think that's all it was about?
I think that's all it was about, because she says to Fran, it's like a way to discombobulate this guy.
Yes, men are scared of vaginas, we could win wars.
Okay, I missed that. Then in that case, it still kind of bothers me.
Yeah, no,
it's terrible. But again, this character, not a role model,
No, not even close.
You're right, too, because she says it sexually.
Yeah.
When she says, oh, but in the way she does it, like it is playing on a sexuality, even though the next line she says isn't.
And also, it's also done out of a recognition of clearly an accident. Like she, to me, was like, oh, I forgot to put on panties this morning, right? Is that what you guys call it?
Does Hannah wear? I just assume she's never worn underwear.
To me, no, she. That's funny, but no, I think there was
at the retreat she had them on. Yeah.
No, she checked. She checked, and it was like,
did.
and she was, and to me, because it's Hannah, it would be like, I wore a skirt and forgot to wear underwear. Oh. Right. Oh, now I have a weapon I didn't realize was coming.
She's just, I don't know. That scene annoyed me.
I had a come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You get fired if you know.
100%. I mean, it depends on the guy, I guess.
The other way.
I guess.
Totally could have gone
totally.
the other way.
I think you don't get fired for that necessarily because then the other guy has to then explain what happens, and she could very easily turn it around to be something.
Be like, I didn't mean to show my vagina.
Yeah.
But a different administrator, a less meek guy, and that guy's meek might have been like, what do you? Hey, you know what? I actually wasn't going to fire you. I'm just going to discipline you. Now you're fired.
Yeah, that's true.
Leave
It
this
could have
office.
gone both ways.
No, I mean, it's a terrible thing to do, but I see why Hannah thought it was a good idea. you
Right.
know?
Well, exactly. Hannah thinks all sorts of crazy things are good ideas.
Yeah.
And so scenes like that make me annoyed with her. But then later on, when she sees Jessa and Adam gazing at one another lovingly through, their windowsills, and she could see like the heartbreak, you feel so bad for her, and you see that human side of her that makes you kind of like her a little bit again.
And it at least makes her realize she can't take Fran for granted.
Exactly.
And that she has to kind of be like, all right, forget that. Let's be together.
And
She'll
now
probably
are you just,
continue to take him for granted.
Or Fran
Later, yeah.
Because now Fran's just going to be making up for Adam from this point out.
I mean, at some
seems
point,
like it.
Maybe
Yeah.
at some point, everybody has to talk about it. Like, there's only one way to find where people are, and and it may be 48 hours from now, Hannah could come to the recognition of, oh, maybe this is the best thing for me. Like, Adam's gone, that's out of my life. I can look for. I loved knocking Fran's hand away, and then begging for it back. That was really, and it's funny because she had a super feminist moment later. It was almost like a makeup call. I can't remember what she said, but it was something when they were watching the play. But she gave a sort of, as if to say, yeah, I know I inexplicably opened my legs to the principal earlier. So anyway, but I'm curious how she'll react to it, because you're right, maybe Fran's being taken for granted, but there has to be a reasonable period of adjustment, and at some point these people have to have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that she and Fran are compatible in the
seem like
least.
it.
I mean, they're completely different people, and at the same time, I mean, I think that this entire season shows you how good Adam was for her, because they're both kind of weirdos, and they just kind of matched in that way.
And do we think Fran hasn't noticed yet that she deleted all of the naked girlfriend pictures from his phone?
Oh,
I feel like
Is that blowback waiting to happen later, or?
I feel like they just left it out.
I think we just assumed that they fought, and then I mean, I sort of would ultimately, I suppose, side with the people. If it was a judge, you'd have to side with the people who said, Hannah, you're making too big a deal out of it. On the flip side is, if you're the guy and your current girlfriend went in there and deleted those pictures, you also have to think, well, that seems reasonable.
Speaking of dodgy relationships, let's talk about Elijah and the news guy, Dill.
No.
Right.
Get out of there, Elijah, run.
Because he did a great job of never seeming to explain it without ever explaining it.
Yeah, he's a smoothie,
He did
that
it.
one.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think there's very little that Dill is doing that is unforgivable if you're upfront about it.
Exactly.
But if the other person has to discover it,
That's not
Super
okay.
shady.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, they had the tender moment at the end,
Until he falls asleep.
Yeah,
No, but
I don't know
literally
that it
tender.
ever got
like
tender.
so, he put his hand on his head.
yeah.
So.
And I love the idea that if you're going to break up with somebody, you grab all the toiletries.
Which I think that's the same mentality you have when you go to a hotel that's overcharged you.
Oh,
You just,
totally.
you
Yeah,
know,
I'm the
get it
towels. I'm taking them all.
Is that so?
get it.
Is his Dill Anderson Cooper? Kind of, basically, sort of. I didn't know what job he had, but clearly he's like some.
He would seem to be. That would be the.
I mean the template.
Yeah.
Behaviorally weak.
Yeah.
But my favorite line of the show, was Marnie's, like, with why are we still talking about
Our second tier
friends.
Oh my God.
She's so like self-absorbed, and I loved her in the last episode because she finally had like this awakening and this enlightenment, and she seemed a little more mature about a situation she was in, but she's still so self-absorbed and self-important, and that scene definitely
And
Where's
now
it gonna
demonstrated.
Go now?
Well, and now
yeah,
they're
he's got his claws back in.
Marnie and Desi are going to go into full Fleetwood Mac territory. They have to like keep working together even though they're divorcing.
Yeah.
She can't help it. I mean, the second tier friends line and the instant way and the great. I mean, the brilliant writing of the. Might even be a death of a principal. Might be a montage. Don't know when they're talking about where the song's going.
For Grey's Anatomy.
Pick up a paper. She scores. She's written for the OC in Grey's Anatomy. I don't know what paper that would be, but it was just so. But again, self-absorbed. You think what interests you and yours. There's nothing wrong with caring about composers.
Yeah.
But you can't presume
Assume that
everyone knows what you know about composers.
Well, what about her scene with Ray?
Oh,
I mean,
man, I
to
was gonna
me,
say,
that
yeah.
was just
So the only
brutal.
normal, fully grounded person here, the only person aware, like, hey, respect the craft. These people are doing something we're here to see. We can't shut up about them. And then he goes out to see Marnie, and he knows enough not to say in that moment to her,
oh, but I love
why are
you.
you telling me I'm in love with you?
But she knows that.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
she is
Exactly.
just being evil there.
Why did she feel the need to pull him aside
think
while
she
they're at
knows
this
it?
weird
I
play
think
thing?
can't
I don't know.
I think she does.
I think she does.
I
don't think so either.
I don't think so. I think part of her self-absorption is not realizing the extent to which it hurts Ray to even be around her, much less to hear her talk about this stuff.
I think she just may be oblivious. But I could see both ways, but I think she is. Now, she may have been testing. That may have been her test, but she didn't react like it was a test. She reacted when he walked back in. She reacted like, we were having a conversation about me. Who walks away from a conversation about me? It's about me.
That is true. That is still Marnie. That is true.
Interesting also that the episode titled Hello Kitty is the one that's not happening in Japan at all.
Yeah, nothing to do with it.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, no shosh in this episode, unfortunately.
A lot of
what's going
disagreement.
on with them? No.
Yeah.
A lot of disagreement about Kitty Genovese. I read a few years ago that just like it's not. There are many who think it didn't quite happen. That the New York Times portrayal of it was so
overblown
and dramatic that not that many people heard. The cops did come a couple of times. Her brother says, no, the cops came. They thought it was domestic abuse. It's a symbol of how the cops treated domestic abuse in the 70s, which is like
60s.
60s, excuse me, or 63, early 60s. That they were like,
they'll work it out.
But not that 37 people heard it and did nothing. That just didn't happen. Didn't change whether that was a super effective way of telling the story. But anyway, worth noting.
I think what I love about this show is that it fits into the mold of what people have called the difficult men genre. You know, your Breaking Bads and your Sopranos and your The Wires or whatever. And again, of course, the difficult women get half an hour, difficult men get an hour. But that Lena Dunham is willing to create these characters who make us nuts.
Yeah.
But at the same time allows them to be human and young and learning tiny little life things along the way while still being awful people to themselves and others. It's fascinating to watch.
I think the only reason why Fran and Hannah might be good for each other is they're both the least attractive dressers on television.
I love Fran.
You love Fran?
Except he's getting so angry now. I think Hannah's making him too angry.
But you wouldn't let Taylor dress that way.
No. Well, Taylor's got good taste.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's got good taste.
They're operating on school teacher salaries. Like, cut him a break.
Right. No, it's still the kind of shirt. I don't it's not about money, Alonso.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, good fun, heartbreaking stuff on Girls. Thanks for watching.